Before the Ohio Players set the world on fire, before their records became the soundtrack of the 70s, before funk became a global force, there was a bass line that was bold, deep, and unshakable. He wasn't the loudest member of the band. He wasn't the flashiest, but his presence both on stage and in the studio was undeniable. With every note he played, anchored the Ohio Players' sound, shaping the groove that would launch them from Dayton clubs to worldwide fame. His bass didn't just support the music, it drove it. It was the pulse, the heartbeat, the foundation on which the Ohio Players built their legacy on Fire Hot Funk. Yet outside the deepest circles of musicians, his name remains one of the most genres overlooked treasures. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Marshall "Rock" Jones. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. If you guys would love to connect with me outside of YouTube, then I am officially announcing that I am on Discord. Here, you can provide me with feedback on my recent uploads. You can drop your suggestions for future videos, or if you just want to chat it up about videos or about music in general, or just about anything, we could do it here. We could do it together. I hope to see you there. The link is in the description below. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Born on January 1st, 1941 in Dayton, Ohio, a city destined to become the centerpiece of funk. In the 40s and 50s, while America's popular music was shifting from jazz to early rock, a young boy named Marshall Eugene Jones was quietly developing a relationship with rhythm. Music wasn't just something he listened for, it was something that he felt. The bass guitar would eventually become his voice. It was deep, resonant, and commanding. But long before he found the instrument that would define his life, Jones was simply a kid fascinated by the way music made people move. It stirred something in him, something steady, something foundational, something that would later earn him the nickname Rock. Jones wasn't destined to be a front man. He wasn't flashy. Instead, he possessed an instinct, the ability to anchor a sound, to build a foundation so solid that every musician around him will soar. This instinct will one day power one of the greatest funk groups in history. By the early 60s, music in Dayton was exploding. Garage bands, soul groups, and R&B ensembles filled the clubs, community centers, and block parties. And it was here that Marshall found his place, not as a singer, not as a horn player, but as a bassist whose tone and timing instantly stood out. The bass was evolving too, no longer just a background instrument. It was becoming the driving force in R&B and early funk music. Jones understood the shift. His lines was melodic when it needed to be, but always anchored with power. He created movement with the groove, not noise. Word began to spread that this quiet guy had something very special, and soon he would become part of a group that would change funk music forever. In the mid-60s, Jones joined a local band that was known as the Ohio Untouchables. This was a group of driven young musicians who would eventually evolve into the Ohio Players. The name would change, the lineup would shift, but most importantly, the sound would grow into something entirely new. Jones quickly became a cornerstone of the group. With his bass, he provided the solidarity that every great band needed, the kind that allows other musicians to experiment fearlessly. Whether it was early R&B cuts or the beginning of harder funk, Jones' playing stood out. He wasn't playing around the beat. He was the beat, a grounding force that defined the group's rhythmic identity. It wasn't long before the band realized, as long as Jones was holding down the bottom end, they could push the music anywhere. In the late 60s and early 70s was a time of experimentation. The Ohio Players began developing a unique signature sound, fusing tight horn lines, funky guitar rhythms, and deep, powerful bass. Jones' contributions during this period was critical. His bass lines provided structure, depth, and power. Listen to any early Ohio Players performances. You can hear Jones' style clearly, that was steady, groovy, and unshakable. He wasn't trying to outshine anyone. He didn't need to. Instead, he created the bedrock upon which the entire Ohio Players sound stood on. Bandmates often said that when Jones locked into the groove, everything else fell perfectly into place. As Ohio Players pushed into the 70s, their sound fully blossomed. Funk was beginning to take over the airwaves, and bands across the country was fighting for a spot in the movement. But the Ohio Players, they had something different. A sound that balanced musical sophistication with raw fire. And at the core of that sound, that was Marshall Jones' bass. His lines gave the song their swagger, their bounce, and their unmistakable identity. From live shows to studio recordings, Rock was consistently delivering bass performances that was both reliable and unforgettable. Even as the band's lineup evolved, his tone and timing stayed steady. While some bassists sought to impress with their speed or flash, Rock focused on feel, and that feel will become a signature of the Ohio Players' groove. The mid-70s brought in the mega heights of the group, with hits like Fire, and Love Roller Coaster. These songs was built on years of foundation that Jones helped create. Even when he wasn't at the front of the stage, his importance was undeniable. He was the timekeeper, the anchor, the groove maker, and a silent leader. In rehearsals, he was known for his professionalism. On stage, he was known for his commands. And in the eyes of musicians, he was known for his respectability. The Ohio Players' sound was bigger than any one musician, but Jones' influence was irresistible from it. As the years passed, the Ohio Players changed with the times. Jones remained an admired figure among Dayton musicians and funk lovers worldwide. His work left an imprint on generations of bassists who drawn to the deep, earthy tones of classic funk. Even after stepping out the spotlight, the respect for Jones continued to grow. The bass community, from funk to hip-hop producers sampling old Ohio Players recordings, continued to celebrate his playing. When Marshall Rock Jones passed away on May 27, 2016, fans and musicians alike paid tribute to a man who helped build one of the defining sounds of American funk music. He may not have chased the spotlight, but his presence helped shape the music that made millions dance across decades. Jones and the Ohio Players was inducted into the first class of the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame in 2013. Today, when people revisit the Ohio Players' music, they feel something deeper, a grounding force that holds every groove together. This force was Marshall Rock Jones. The bass work influenced funk giants, R&B innovators, hip-hop producers, and generations of musicians who looked to Dayton as a birthplace for funk. He wasn't just a member of the Ohio Players. He was a stabilizer, a musical foundation, a man whose nickname perfectly described his contribution. He was the Rock, a quiet architect of funk, a master of groove, and a musician whose lines still shake speakers around the world. Now, before we go, I have a few questions for you all. Who is your favorite member of the Ohio Players? Also, do you feel the Ohio Players deserve to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? If so, please explain why.